So I think they're kind of banking on, like, we have Yzerman. But Yzerman, again, like we talked about last week, he's not a center. Mm-hmm. If he is, like, I feel like he's more of a winger.
Yeah.
But you need that bona fide center, which I think Hagens could be.
I think James Hagens and him already have some sort of chemistry built up. I think they played at World Juniors together.
Oh, yeah, they might have. But, yeah, true.
Maybe it was U18s. I forget. No, they're a year off, huh?
Yeah, well, because Cole, they could have. Where did James play last year?
They played at BU.
No.
Yeah.
Hagens is BC.
Heisman's
BU, so they have. But, I mean, look how BU went for the Sharks.
Fantastic.
Great friends now.
New York.
Best
Come on
friends.
now. Pick Hagens over first overall. Come on. Although,
don't take Schaefer.
Okay. Oh, did you send me that post? I like this. Hang on. So we have IHF men's going on right now, and Macklin Celebrini is on the team, right? Mm-hmm. He's playing for Team Canada, and he is playing. Porter Martone is on the roster. He's not. I don't think he's actually playing, but he is on the roster.
Interesting.
And I saw a post that was talking about something to do with those two guys. And I want to see if I can pull this up. Are we recording?
Yeah, we're live.
Sweet.
Welcome, everyone, to the episode. Cold open today. We're changing it up on you guys. Cold open, talk about the draft. We are going to get into the playoffs, and also we're going to be picking Conn Smythe players at the moment, right now, as of recording on Tuesday, for each team. Like, who would be the Conn Smythe right now at this moment? But we're talking about the draft right now. And obviously the New York Islanders won the draft lottery last week, and the Sharks fell to number 2, which we are okay with. We've taken a week to think about it, and it's a good place to be. I mean, you can't win the lottery every year. It's we got a 25% chance of doing it, or 18, I think, percent.
Yep.
And we got really lucky last year and got our guy.
I'm very glad the Sharks won last year and not this year.
Yes, exactly.
If it was one or the other, I'm very glad about that.
And we can still get a great player at 2, or even, I mean, who's at 3? Is it Blackhawks at 3, or is it?
Blackhawks are 3.
Yeah. The Blackhawks at 3 are going to get someone special too, like everyone. And I think even Utah at 4, which good for them jumping up, they're going to get someone special too. Because, I mean, the top 4 right now with Schaefer, Misa, Hagens, and Martone, I think are all fantastic players and could go number 1 depending on who you are and what team you are, and I guess just how well you scout.
So here's what it is. They're doing the IHF preliminary games right now, right? Don't mean anything. Teams are trying out different lineups and whatnot. From Stephen Ellis, Porter Martone is only on Canada's training camp roster for now, but his chemistry with Macklin Celebrini in this game, ... do whatever it takes to keep them together this month. Now, that's real interesting, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, ideally, you get Schaefer at second overall. That is like what you want. Hopefully, New York, for whatever reason, sees something that they don't want in him, or they see something in James Hagens or Michael Misa that they want more than him, right?
Yeah.
But say Schaefer goes first overall, right? Mm-hmm. The Sharks already have a pretty deep center core of prospects, right? You have guys who are currently in the NHL with Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith. You have guys coming up through the system, Kasper Halttunen, and a couple other guys that are projected to be at least NHL caliber players.
Yeah.
Porter Martone's a winger, right? And at some point, you have to start filling in the pieces around the centers.
Yeah, because Smith is a center.
Smith is a center. He was playing on the wing a lot with Macklin Celebrini, I think, kind of just developing his game at the NHL level.
Yeah.
But at some point, they're going to want him to make that jump to being the second-line center.
Yeah.
And kind of taking over that role and being, hopefully, the best second-line center in the NHL. That's what you want out of Will Smith.
Yep.
At some point, you need to start building the pieces around him, right?
Yeah.
We have our goalie of the future. We have Yaroslav Askarov. We have some defensive pieces. Not a bunch of them, but we have some that are coming up through the system that are hopefully going to be impact players at the NHL level. Mm-hmm. If you don't get Schaefer, there's no other D-men in this draft that I really want.
Yeah.
Or I'm looking at them
pick
like,
it too, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You could reach at Porter Martone.
Yeah.
And if he's already got that kind of chemistry build up that these two players play well together.
Yeah.
Why not take a chance and reach a little bit? It's not like you're reaching that much.
Yeah. I think what you should do.
Trade down
with Chicago. I don't think you drop to Utah because you don't know what they're going to do. They could trade that pick.
Yeah.
I think you trade with Chicago and get something out of it, even if it's another second-round pick or just a little bit just to swap that pick, because I don't think you really want to take Martone at 2 just because of how I think Michael Misa is a better player.
Yeah.
But like you said, if there's chemistry there, I think you kind of let Chicago take him. They're going to have 2 small forwards.
It's one of those things, you already have Celebrini and Smith, who in 2 years you have to pay big bucks, right?
Yes.
Because at least if everything goes to plan and both these players pan out, you're going to have to pay both of them a lot of money.
Yeah.
Picking another guy like Misa, yes, you're going to have another year of ELC, and he's probably going to be a guy who jumps to the NHL next year.
Yeah.
I would say. He dominated this year.
Yeah.
But he's probably a guy that's going to make that jump next year, so you then have a 1-year offset of we have to pay this guy who's also going to be, probably close to a Macklin Celebrini level.
It'll be like the Avalanche, where you got to get rid of Mikko Rantanen at his prime, whoever Mikko Rantanen turns out to be for the Sharks. Like, that could be what happens, and you don't want that to happen. I do know Martone, I believe, might be getting offered by Penn State like $300,000 worth of NIL money, which, again, if he plays in college a year, I don't think would be horrible for his development. I just don't like. That's why you don't pick him at 2.
Yeah,
because he's gonna not leave, but he's gonna go back to college. Even Schaefer, like, I don't know that an 18-year-old playing defense. I mean, I'm trying to think. Cale Makar, like, did he even make the jump that quick, or did he take another year of development?
He played in college. He played at UMass.
Okay. But exactly, like, he played in college against men.
I'm sure there are guys we're missing because this is a huge gap in time. But the only guy I can really think of jumping over immediately is Aaron Ekblad.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure there are guys that we're missing that came in as an 18-year-old rookie and played a full NHL year.
Quinn
played in college.
Like, he played a year.
He played at Michigan.
Yeah. Luke Hughes, same.
Luke Hughes, Michigan.
I feel like Cale might be the only one, but he might have.
Because he got drafted out of the BCHL and then played a year at UMass.
UMass, yeah.
And then...
So, yeah, he played a year in college.
Taylor Makar.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things... I've never understood this. I actually had a conversation about this with one of my coworkers that's a big football guy.
Yeah.
I've never understood why the NHL, you don't see that more. You see teams reaching for players rather than trading down.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because there's a lot more uncertainty, like with football, like you're drafting for these players to be immediate impact players and they draft positionally. So it's like, the Raiders really wanted a running back this year. They got Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that you're going to draft a running back or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like you could see this a lot more in the NHL with teams just utilizing the assets that they have. Like, you don't need to pick the best available guy.
Yeah.
Especially with the Sharks prospect pool that we have right now.
Yeah.
I think you can start drafting more to fill out positions.
Yeah.
Than just trying to pick the best possible players that are available.
Right.
Because at some point it's going to start to become an issue where you have, you're overloaded on centers. You have 6 guys that are going to be elite NHL centers, whether they're in the NHL yet or not.
Yeah.
And Porter Martone, he's a big physical right winger.
Yeah.
That is something that the Sharks don't have.
True.
That's something most teams don't have.
And, Musty and Smith have great chemistry from what I remember in training camp this last year. I feel like Musty's going to play. He'll probably play Kuda for a little bit.
Yeah, I know he jumped up at the end of last year.
Yeah. But I think he's a big forward.
Yeah.
And I think you have him to play with Smith or even with Celebrate. Like, who knows? But
yeah,
what it's looking like, he could play with Smith. And then if you get a winger for Celebrini to play with, then that's pretty much it.
You already have Eklund, who's
that
going to be a skill guy that you can kind of.
Like,
I don't know if he's really going to be a bona fide star.
He looks like it.
He's gross, don't get me wrong, but that he's at the very minimum somebody who plays up and down the lineup and can play on any.
True.
You can play on any line combination and put up points. So either way, I saw that, and if Stephen Ellis is right about that, and they have that kind of connection, I wouldn't have a problem with them trading down if they don't get Schaefer.
Yeah.
Or at least reaching a little bit and picking up.
Yeah.
I don't see an issue with that at all.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about, like, my thing with the NHL draft, the hard part is that you're drafting 18-year-olds that, sure, like, first overall, Macklin Celebrini makes a jump to the NHL, plays fantastic. 18-year-old Calder finalist.
Connor Bedard last year.
Connor McDavid. Like, there's a ton of players that have prime example of, I'm 18 and I can play.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys, and we kind of see the NHL draft outside of the top. Frankly, I mean, even the one spot, like, it doesn't always work out. Whereas I feel like the NFL draft, they're drafting players, not prospects.
Yeah.
And I would kind of wish that the NHL transitioned to that, even if it's like basketball, where, and I get, like, basketball, you can still get drafted even. Well, they got rid of, it's like the one and done now. You have to play 1 year college.
Yeah.
But you can get drafted if you have played 4 years of college too. There's no limit to that. Whereas hockey, you have to get drafted at 18. If you do not get drafted at 18, then you're a free agent and you can sign.
Well, you can
after that. You're
technically eligible to be drafted up to like 21.
Right, but they don't take anyone.
Just teams don't do it.
Yeah.
Because frankly, if you weren't, there are 18-year-olds who have the same skill set as you.
Right.
And you're 20, 21 years old. There are guys who are younger than you who do the exact same thing that have more time to develop into better players. Right. So I can see why they do it.
Yeah.
I just think they should raise the draft age.
Yeah, I agree.
To be honest. Make it like 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Because frankly, drafting children...
Yeah. Sounds horrible.
It makes sense because, like, you want to get the guy in your system and develop him how you want to develop him.
Right.
It makes sense in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And obviously the NHL, I think this also comes from the NHL has a lot more asset to develop prospects than, at least for the last, 20, 30 years, college hockey or junior programs. Like, just more kind of money to throw at training and physical side of, like, weight room stuff and just everything. Whereas now we're kind of getting to the point where college hockey is developing to where it's like a legitimate competitor to junior hockey.
Yes.
And colleges have a lot more money to throw at players than your average junior hockey program. Like, it's just how it is. If you play for the London Knights, it might be a little bit different than if you're playing for are they even still in Sudbury Wolves? I don't even know if that's still...
Hey, Musty there.
When Musty did... Yeah, that is still a thing.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, especially if you go to, like, the BCHL.
Yeah.
Right? Or, like, another... Maybe not the NAL, because guys aren't getting drafted out of the NAL 90% of the time, but there's just not as much money around it, so I could see why a team would want to get a guy younger and have more time to throw money at them to make them better hockey players.
I think what could change is now that the NCAA is going to allow these junior players to play there.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see more NCAA Division I teams because there's just more players that can play there now.
Yep. I hope so.
In the past, and like I would love for college hockey to grow.
Imagine a March Madness for college hockey.
Frozen Four.
That's not the same thing.
I know.
Come on, that's not the same.
Like a bigger tournament. Yeah, I agree. I just think, like, there really is... There's got to be something that changes soon, and I think it will, in terms of... I think as college hockey grows and there's more teams, more players that are going there from juniors to then college, like, I think we could see a shift where it's like, okay, play one and done. Like go play NCAA. I think it's tough though because of how international the game is.
Yeah.
And it's like you got players from Russia playing in the KHL. You got players Sweden, like everywhere, all over. Like how national it is. It's not like basketball where, and even basketball, they have players that play overseas, but it's not as big as hockey is around the world.
I think what you could see happening, which again is only going to grow college hockey, is now that CHL players are allowed to play, there is going to be a bump in talent.
Yes.
In the NCAA.
I agree.
There's probably going to be more teams joining.
Yep.
I know teams, I think it's UNLV is looking at developing an NCAA team in the next couple of years.
I know Boise State wants to.
BSU wants to. There's like programs all over the place. There's definitely interest, and especially with the mass influx of players who can now play.
Yeah.
You got to add more teams at some point, right?
Yeah.
What I think is going to happen is you're going to see a shift for like youth hockey. A lot more guys from overseas are going to want to come play here. You already see it like here and there. Artem Leshunov has been playing in, I think it's Michigan State for the last 2 years.
Yep.
Like you already see some guys. Tom Wallander, I think plays for BU.
Yeah.
Or is it Michigan? I forget. That could be way off. But like there's I think it's Axel Sendin Pelika plays in college. Like there's guys all over the place that do.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see an influx of more players from overseas coming and playing college hockey because that's the pinnacle of U25 hockey if you're not at the level to play pro.
Right. Well,
and if you're a Russian guy, where you look at even happened with why am I forgetting his name? Plays on the Flyers.
Michkov?
Matvey Michkov. Where they're good enough to play in the KHL, but they don't get the time because they're young.
Yeah.
So they play like 5 minutes a night.
Yeah.
If you're a Russian phenom like Matvey Michkov, where Ivan Demidov, where it's like you have Demidov actually played a lot more though.
Yeah.
But you have the option to play, fourth line minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, plus maybe some power play on a KHL team, or you can come be a star for an NCAA program. I think most guys are going to take that NCAA route.
Yeah.
If Russian hockey doesn't interfere.
Right.
So it's one of those things, I could absolutely see that happening with the influx of skill. It's like NCAA is going to be the pinnacle of hockey for players under 24.
Yeah.
Under 25.
I think too, like if you look at it, like think about Bedard's first year. Or not first year, for his draft year. He played amazing in the WHL.
He dominated. Yeah.
And then you see Macklin Celebrini, who, I mean, he won the Hobey Baker, and I would say he not necessarily dominated, like he was up for contention for the Hobey Baker with Will Smith and Cutter Gauthier, all that stuff, but it's like these guys, like Bedard, lit it up in the WHL. Celebrini played a good campaign, had a great year. Then both of them come to the NHL and have very similar seasons. Yeah. And not to say that, maybe if, Celebrini went and played in the WHL or something.
He would have lit it up too.
Probably would have lit it up too.
Yeah.
But for his development of the game, like it's not really good as a player for you to just dominate.
No.
You're not going to get better. You're not going to grow your game.
I think if Connor Bedard had gone back to play in the WHL, it probably would have hurt his growth for him to just sit. It would get boring, because you're like, well, I can score 15 goals a night. What am I doing? I'm playing with Pee Wee players.
Like Gavin McKenna's putting up, 160?
Another year, because I think he's young enough that he has to go back to the WHL. He's not old enough for college.
Gavin?
Yeah, Gavin McKenna, I think. Yeah. That's not going to do any good for him.
No.
Right? And there are specific instances where it's like it makes sense for Gavin McKenna is probably going to make an immediate jump and be an immediate impact player into the NHL. It's just it's so interesting because like dominating at that level against guys your age, like that does nothing good for you.
No.
Maybe he should take the Macklin Celebrini route, go to college at 17.
Yeah.
and dominate there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, he can dominate or is he playing the W?
Yeah.
Yeah. He could go play there, dominate, come to the NHL. He's they're one-offs. Right?
I almost wonder.
But for everyone else, though,
yeah,
that's where it's like, you need to get out of juniors, go play college, which I think is going to be the route now, and go play college, get a year under your belt, like Will Smith did.
Yep.
Come back or come to the NHL. And obviously Smith had kind of a rough start, but like, you can see how much that helped him just playing against not the NDDP. Like,
I wonder if a route like Austin Matthews took would be more ideal for Gavin McKenna, where he goes and plays somewhere overseas in a pro league.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wonder, I don't know if you remember that Austin Matthews went and dominated La Liga for a year.
Yeah.
The Finnish league. I think it's the Finnish league.
Yeah. Yeah.
I almost wonder if that would be a better alternative for him because, frankly, even college hockey, this guy is dominated so heavily in the WHL, and a lot of these guys who he's playing against right now are going to be playing in college hockey next year.
True.
Like, a lot of them.
Yeah.
With the allowance of CHL players to play.
I think it'll be really interesting next year.
So I almost wonder if that might be the best route for him. If he does this route, you heard it here first.
Yeah. He's listening.
To go play, you think that guy can play in the SHL? He absolutely could.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of a stepping stone that I would like to see more players take.
Yeah.
Along with NCAA.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they go play, and I know we're just talking about, like, I don't think the KHL is a good option for this, but you go play in the SHL or La Liga and dominate.
Yeah.
Just like Austin Matthews did. That's a year of development for his game where he could learn maybe some of the defensive sides of hockey and responsibility, right? Where right now Gavin McKenna doesn't have to worry about responsibility because he just had a 190-day point scoring streak. That's fucking crazy. Ridiculous. I think it was 54 games straight. He recorded a point, had like 140 points in that time.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
No, he is. And like, that's the thing. Yeah. I think there just got to be a better way I think the Gavin McKenna's like the outliers. Yep. Those guys are special. But for a lot of the other guys, like, I feel like guys who develop
aren't for sure going 1 overall.
Right. And they're not going to make an immediate impact. It's like, go play college hockey. Don't play in the WHL. Yeah. And I know, like, they didn't really have a choice up until this year. But I'm curious how it's going to turn out next year with all these prospects that get drafted. And I mean, I think anyone taken in the 7 rounds can realistically go play college hockey.
Absolutely.
Every single one of them. And that's how many players? It's like almost 200 players.
Yeah, 200 some players.
So like, obviously they're going to need to expand college hockey because then all the American players that, you know, want to play college hockey are screwed now.
Yeah.
And I think college hockey is going to grow.
I think there should be funding for a D2 tournament because there's like, I want to say there's like 10 NCAA Division II hockey teams. It's some very small number.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been a tournament since like the 90s.
Yeah.
Or something like that. There's no funding for a tournament.
Yeah.
Where it's like this influx of players. There's guys who they play a few years in the NAHL and then they go play 3rd or 4th line minutes for an NCAA D1 team.
Yeah.
Right? Or guys who play a full 4 years in the USHL and they're like 2nd, 3rd liners. They're not going to get drafted, but they're going to play out their college hockey career. You have so many talented college hockey players from the U.S. that are not going to be able to play D1 just because of the influx of Canadian players, and I think also probably the influx of international players that are going to be drafted and are going to be high-level players. At whether it's, you know, the NHL or the AHL or some other pro league, there's going to be a lot more kind of need for college hockey and lower level college hockey that guys can still go, you know, get tuition for free or something, get something out of playing hockey and still enjoy their college careers. But if you're not going to expand NCAA Division I, which I think hopefully they will, at least introduce a Division II, or you're going to have a bunch of, or Division III is going to be as competitive as Division I.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
I don't know how that is all going to work. I would love to see an NCAA D2.
Yeah.
Obviously, you won't hear as much about it as D1.
Yeah.
You never will.
Yeah.
But it's still huge.
Yeah. I think, like we said, like the game will grow. It takes time. And that's just the crappy thing, unfortunately, is like, it's not going to be next year. All these ideas that we have that are genius are going to be implemented. But yeah, I think I'm really interested to see college hockey next year and see how these junior kids kind of come from like, okay, yeah, I'm a stud in the WHL, but how do you translate in the NCAA?
Yeah.
Will that help you stepstone to the NHL a lot quicker, better? Well, yeah, I'm curious how it'll pan out. But enough about prospects. We're going to get into the playoffs here. And first things first, we are incredibly bad jinxers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mainly for the Knights and the Oilers, because I think we were so high on them. Last week, we talked about the Capitals Hurricanes. We said the Hurricanes were going to win that. They're up 3-1 right now. So that one we were right about. Jets and Stars, Game 4 is tonight, so we'll see how that pans out. But if the Stars go up 3-1, we were right about that. Hellebuck looks like garbage, like we suspected. I don't know what the fuck you do with him, but then, yeah, Maple Leafs were up 2-0 at one point. We kind of bit our teeth a little, or bit our tongue a little bit, being like, oh, shit. But Florida came back and tied it. And then, of course, the Oilers going up 3-1 against the Knights, which we didn't expect. We're going to cover all those series. First one, let's do Maple Leafs in Florida. Because I feel like this has been...
We want Florida.
I wouldn't say this is the best... Okay, Travis.
Jerk. Live reaction. Travis, you suck. The Ducks suck.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so this series just been back and forth. Really high scoring, too. Like, there have been close games, too. Like, we're not going to, count out the Maple Leafs. And I don't think we ever did. I said that they look scary. And they look like a legit playoff team finally. Yeah. They look like a team that can make a difference. And obviously Stolarz went out. Was that game 1?
Yep. Scary head injury. Hopefully.
Scary head injury.
Classic, major concussion.
Yes.
Hopefully Anthony Stolarz is okay.
Yes, I agree.
And is able to recover because he's kind of having his breakout season.
Yeah, I agree.
So best of luck to Anthony Stolarz.
And I don't know. I mean, do you think you're a goalie? You know what it's like to take a puck off the dome.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the cause of the concussion, or was it Sam Bennett's soft ass punch?
Well, okay. So I saw there were 2 shots that hit him in the head, and obviously playing beer league compared to playing against NHL players is a whole lot different. But I've still played a pretty high level of hockey in my youth.
Well,
I've been rang.
Yeah.
I've gotten my bell rung. That can definitely make an impact. But I want to show you this picture that I saw on a Facebook group of the way Anthony Stolarz wears his helmet, which I think contributes a lot to that. This is zoomed in on the back of his head.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if you want to show that to the camera. His helmet is barely on. And I think that probably contributes more to him getting injured than you would expect.
And that's normal for him?
That is how he normally wears his helmet. It is so loose on the back of his head. And I cannot imagine, I don't know exactly how head injuries work, but my understanding is when you get hit in the head, it's your brain that bounces around inside of your head, right? And concussion is basically when the brain hits your skull. Yeah. And causes damage to your skull. I couldn't imagine that having something so loose to your head that when you get hit in the head, it smacks your head.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that helps. And I am more than willing to bet that the Sam Bennett running into him was kind of just icing on the cake for that.
Yeah, I agree.
It did not look like a serious collision.
No.
Whether intentional or not, I don't know if we're going to get into that, but yeah, it's probably the pucks off of the face that are causing that, wearing your helmet like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's gone through his entire career with the medical staff not telling him, hey, tighten your freaking helmet, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's probably what it is. Just repeated impacts with his head, and then obviously you saw with him throwing up on the bench and leaving the rink on a stretcher.
Yeah. Well, wasn't it
scary?
He was throwing up on the bench and then went back into the game, which is like hey, Toronto medical staff, like
I don't know how the spotters didn't pick that up and say, hey, get this guy off the ice immediately.
Yeah. Like I get it's playoff hockey and like guys might be throwing up. You are a yacker.
Yeah, I'm a yacker. Like, I've been there.
But like
Stolarz is in a lot better shape than I am.
It's not like Stolarz is eating Stinker's pizza before a game and throwing up. Like, there's a reason. If he's throwing up, it's not because he ate some bad food before the game.
Yeah, no.
He is clearly, he's not throwing up because he's out of shape. Like, there's a real issue there. And especially taking 2 pucks off the dome.
Yep.
And I'm sure the medical staff knows that his helmet is worn like that. So I think it's kind of a ball dropped by them where it's like, you guys needed to get him out of the game earlier. I get that it's the playoff, but like head injuries are nothing to mess with.
You have Anthony Stolarz, if he protects himself, has probably 10 years of NHL hockey left where he could play 10 more seasons of playoff hockey.
Yeah.
Like, and that's minimum. I think he's 28 right now. Yeah. He could play until he's 42. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah, I think...
Get him out. Get him the attention that he needs. That way you don't have... Because now he's out for playoffs. I can almost guarantee it. Right? And that's your starting goalie. Yeah. That's a guy who's really taken the reins this year for Toronto and played fantastic for them.
He helped them win that first game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I don't know why you wouldn't take him out immediately when he starts throwing up. I think that was before the Sam Bennett collision. Yeah. Which has already got major signs of a concussion, right?
Yeah.
Take him out of the freaking game, dude.
Right.
I don't know what Toronto medical staff is doing. Yeah. Again, hopefully he's okay.
Yeah. I think another thing too, like everyone recently with this playoffs specifically has complained about the amount of dirtiness across all teams. Yeah. Or like dirty plays, dirty hits, dirty this. He's a dirty player. He's that. This is hockey. Go watch soccer. Go watch baseball. Go watch basketball. Like this is a collision sport. And yes, player safety is the number one priority. And there's certain hits like I think boarding. Yeah. I think blatant head contact like Ekblad on Hagel.
That was awful.
Like that's the right call. You suspend them. But when it's a shoulder to chest and maybe it hits his head a little bit, that does not mean a warrant like
there was a suspension. Was it a Tom Wilson hit where he like completely lined somebody up and caught him in the head because he's 6'5"? Right. He's a huge dude.
You run into his shoulder like
that's gonna happen when you have a size discrepancy in players. Right. Like I guarantee you every single hit Zdeno Chara ever made hit somebody in the head a little bit. Yeah. But that's hockey. Yeah. Right? You sign up for it at the end of the day.
It's a collision sport
and millions to do it.
Everyone like loves about hockey is the physicalness, the toughness, like all that stuff. And when people get hit, if it's I feel like anytime nowadays it's a big hit, people are always online just being like slowing down frame by frame, being like, look, his left shoulder pad strap hit his head and that's a head contact. It's like, shut up.
That I hate. And NHL production is half of the reason that happens. True. They slow it down to frame by frame slow motion. This stuff doesn't happen slow motion. Right. This stuff happens like that, right? You watch it at full speed and tell me if a guy intended to hit somebody in the head. Right. They probably didn't. No. Right? 99% of the time, if there's a collision on a head, if there's a collision with somebody's head, it's probably not intentional. Right. Yeah, if you see a guy jump and leave his skates and completely target the guy's forehead, that's head targeting.
But I think the slowing down, like even that Kachuk Gensel hit, everyone was like, that's such a late hit. And it's like, watch it in real time. Gensel passed it, watched his pass like a dumbass. You're in the NHL. Yeah. And Kachuk was right there. Was it late? Sure. But when you slow it down, it looks so much worse than what it is. And watching it full speed, it's like, okay, it's not that bad. And I feel like that's the case with a lot of these hits. But even for example, last Game 4, Maple Leafs and Panthers, Domi, right from behind, totally hit Barkov. Yeah. It's a dirty play. But you know what? Like, what does Max Domi get paid for? Score sick goals when it means most and be a fucking pest.
Yeah.
Same reason Marchand gets paid, same reason
Bennett.
Kachuk gets paid, same reson Bennett gets paid.
Tom
like
Wilson. You could
that's
go
their
on
job.
and on. That is what they get paid to do.
Right. They get paid to be a pain, a thorn in your side and get in people's heads. Like, there's players like that. And same with Kachuk. Like, his dad did the same thing. And there's a reason Kachuk is where he's at right now.
Yeah.
In the NHL, his career is because he's played that way, and he's not going to stop. Because if you stop, like, they didn't win a Stanley Cup last year for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, they play like that for a reason. And I think people just need to get away from the, I get it if it's your team, because you're just like, God, that player's so dirty, I hate him.
Mm-hmm.
Get that. But guess what? That's his job.
Yeah.
That's who he is. So
it's just one of those things. I hate that whole frame by frame thing.
Yes.
Same reason I hate offsides.
yeah.
Not offsides reviews.
Yeah.
Is it's like, we talked about this. I don't think we ever talked about it on the podcast. It was it Vegas versus
Yes, it was. Vegas versus the Wild.
Vegas versus the Wild. Oh, I forget who scored. It was Game 7.
Yeah, it was like Matt Boldy.
Yeah.
No?
I don't know. Doesn't really matter who scored.
Yeah. 2-on-1.
Guy had a foot offside.
Yeah.
Right? Or he was like, he was.
I remember this one.
He was all over.
Yes.
He was all over the line, but his skate was maybe half an inch offside.
Right.
Zero impact on the play. Did not like go after another player. Did not take a body. Like, he was basically just floating. I think it was Frederick Gaudreau skated in and put one in with like a minute or two left. Mm-hmm. The Wild would have won that game. It got reviewed twice. It got reviewed by the NHL. I think Toronto reviewed it for kicking motion, and then Vegas challenged it for offsides. So it got reviewed twice.
No, they challenged it for goalie interference, and then they found the offsides, from what I remember.
Whatever it was. That didn't impact the play at all. This is a completely separate note. It did not impact the play at all. That guy had zero. Like, it's not like he was the one who scored the goal.
Right.
It's not like he took out the second defender who would have been there. No, he had zero impact on the goal that was scored. Yeah. And now Minnesota's sent packing. Yeah. And Vegas is getting mollywopped by the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah. Which, that's a discussion in and of itself that we'll get into. But I hate that. So I'm not a fan.
I agree with that one. I think those are okay. Those offside review. I know you don't like that. We texted. I was like, I'm okay with that, because my reasoning is for offside, I'd rather them on a play like that where it's quick, let the play happen. If it's offside, they can look at it later, whatever. I don't love it, but I understand it. Rules are rules. He's offside.
Yeah.
What I hate is when someone goes offside, they take a shot, they pass the puck around, they take possession, they have the puck, take a couple more shots, then they score. Then they go back 45 seconds and see, oh, well, it started offside. That is where I'm like, no. Like, I get it when it's a 2-on-1, it's a quick play, the refs don't want to call it. That's like my viewing of it, is just like, you're going in and it's a 2-on-1, refs don't want to call it, even because it's like a hairline play, and you don't want to call the play dead and then look back and be like, that wasn't offsides.
Yeah.
Now, there's a point where it's like, well, that's just refs being human. Yeah. That's why we have human refs. We could have AI robots calling offside the entire game. Yeah. But that takes out the human aspect. You want to have, real referees. My thing is, I hate when it goes back 30, 40 seconds. If it's 10, 15 seconds of like, yeah, they skated in 2-on-1, he was offside, he shot it, he passed it back, he scored, or whoever, maybe he didn't even score. Yeah. It's just such a quick play where it's like, okay, yeah. But after that first shot, it's like, you cannot go back 30 seconds to go look at this play.
What pisses me off, the offsides rule is implemented basically to prevent cherry picking, right? And have one guy way down ice.
Yes.
That's just going to take a stretch pass and get a breakaway every time.
Right.
That's basically why the offsides rule is there. If you have to zoom in to tell if he was offsides, it did not impact the play.
True.
And especially if it's a guy who had no effect on the play in the first place and is completely separate from the play in general. Mm-hmm. In a situation like that where you still have to zoom in to see if he's offsides and go into slow motion to see if it's Matt Duchene, 15 feet inside of the blue line. Yeah. You know what? Review that.
Yeah.
But when it's an inch or two, and it has zero bearing on the play at hand, that's when it pisses me off because it slows the game down a ton.
True.
It's a momentum change.
Yep.
And it's ticky-tacky. It pisses me off. And this leads into something we were going to talk about is just the overall amount of penalties that are called and just ref interference with hockey.
Yeah, true.
In these playoffs. It's stuff like this that's like, this slows down the game. It makes it less fun to watch for new fans, right? Which there are a lot of new fans this playoffs with the Four Nations face-off. That's hard to get into. When you are not entirely sure on everything that's going on, for a diehard hockey fan, sure.
Yeah.
Right? You can sit through that and go, I know exactly what they're reviewing and what they're looking at or what they're trying to find out. But it's like, for non-diehard hockey fans, which I feel like a lot of fans aren't, that are still figuring out, they have a hard time looking and seeing where the puck is going.
Yeah.
How the hell are they supposed to know, you can't have, half an inch of white in between the blue line and your skate. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not a goal for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though the guy had zero bearing on the play. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah. No, I get that. My thing is, like, how do you fix that? Like, because are you still okay with people reviewing offside, like you said, if they're a million feet off?
Time limit for offsides, for reviews in general.
But that's, okay, but what's your time limit then?
10 seconds.
Okay. That I can get behind.
You rewatch it one time because at the end of the day, these refs are making decisions split second.
Yes.
Right? You have guys that are capable of making the right call 90% of the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
How come you can't have refs that aren't actively reffing the game, watching the game? They get 10, 15 seconds to decide, have a quick conversation, and make the call based on that.
No, you're right.
I know at some point you try to line between MLB umpires and NHL referees where you have MLB umpires who are making horrendous calls all the time. And that's what kind of forces the league to want to do like robot umpires, right?
Okay. Wait, can I say something?
Yeah.
So you said 10 seconds.
Yes. How long was the review?
How long do they have? Oh, you're saying they get 10 seconds to review it?
Yes.
Not, okay. I was putting a time limit on like when they can review it.
Oh, no, that was probably like a 4-second play.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just skated in and put the puck in the net.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like the impact on the game was not
like
there.
You can watch it, but it's a play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I get it. Like he who was offside had no impact on the play. I also think the refs should, like, truly, if it's like super close, like, don't call it. But if it's like, there's points where I see it and I'm like, that was offside, call it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, call it because.
And if you have a 10-second review, right?
True.
You can do it in between. You can do it whenever.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even have to like call a timeout to have a challenge, right?
Yeah.
You just have a ref watching that call from Toronto.
Yeah, say
have an earbud in the ear. That was offsides. Call it back.
Yeah.
Like they get some time to review. It's not like hockey's like that fat. Well, it is, but
it is.
It's not that fast where it's like that's going to completely change a game if you just have a guy sitting up there watching too.
Yep. Well, what's annoying is because that happened in the Panthers game against the Lightning, and it was one of those longer plays where I saw it happen and I was like, "This is offside."
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, if you as a team know he definitely was offside, and you're like, now we can't even score because if we do score, it's going to get called back. What do you...
At the end of the day, referees are still human.
Right.
They're going to make mistakes. Just like NHL players are still human. You're going to see a guy give up a bad turnover, and it's going to end up in the back of your team's net, right?
Yeah.
It's a part of the game.
Yeah.
Making it robotic does not add to the game. The NHL is, I think, the most electric to watch in like the early 2010s. It was the most fun to watch. You didn't have reviews.
Yep.
Games were fast but defensive, fun hockey, right? Yeah. When you have more talent on the ice, you're gonna end up with more goals regardless of if you need to get the call right or not. Like it doesn't make a difference. You're gonna have more goals in general.
Yeah.
You don't need to fucking slow the game down just to make sure every single thing is in.
Right.
Like,
no, it makes sense.
Even if that goal counted, right? Who says Vegas doesn't come back and score?
True.
Right, and that would be even more fun.
Yeah.
Minnesota Wild going deep in the playoffs, I think, is more fun to watch for NHL fans than Vegas, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, yes, they got the call right. Whatever. He was an inch offsides.
I know what you're saying, though.
But it's like, does that really add anything to the game? Is that more fun? Yeah, I guess you get more playoff or more overtime, right? Which is cool. Vegas ended up winning. I'm sure that was great for Vegas fans. But it's like, that makes zero difference to the game. Yeah. It's not why the offsides rule was implemented.
Yeah.
It slows it down.
It's a rule, but
there were two reviews in a row.
Yeah.
They were both quick, but there were two reviews in a row. Give like a 10-second, if you can't figure this out in 10 or 15 seconds, watching it down, at full speed.
Yeah.
If you have to slow it down to, 6 frames per second just to tell if, like there was one, what game was that? The goal, it was in the Jets Blues series. Binnington made a save. I think that they ended up winning that game like 7-1. Binnington made a save where his glove may have been over the line, right? Went into his glove. The puck was clearly in the net, but you couldn't see the line with the puck, so you couldn't determine it was 100% in.
Yep.
That review is just complete baloney.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, why are you they spent like a lot of time. They spent like 5 minutes on it too.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can't figure it out, it made no bearing to the game, right?
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, the goalie made a save. And I'm not saying this because I'm a goalie, right?
Yeah.
If his glove's clearly in the net, that's a goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
His glove was in the net. Yeah, you can't see the puck. You don't know where the puck is in the glove. Whatever.
Yeah.
Give it 10 seconds. If you can't figure it out, no goal.
Yeah.
Just go with the call on the ice.
The reviews, like, I get that we have all this technology, but like you said, it kind of turns into where it's like, okay, well, if you're going to go back and review it, like, why not just use robotic refs then if you want a call to be perfect?
You want the call to be perfect every time.
Or like MLB's
use a camera system with the fucking goal horn.
MLB's doing this where I think if an umpire, they tried it out in spring training, it's not like in the regular season yet, but basically if the umpire gets a call wrong and the batter thinks it's, like, say he calls a ball, or say he calls it a strike, the batter thinks it's a ball.
Yeah.
The batter can tap his head.
They'll review it, right?
And they have the technology that, they can see where the ball crossed the plate and be like, yeah, no, that was a ball. They can review it, call it good. And maybe for the NHL, so they don't have to fucking review it and take forever. If the coaches challenges it, then they know, like, that was offside, like our AI got that or whatever. But at the same time, I don't want that to be a thing. I would rather it just the refs either call it, be a dumbass. I'd rather yell at the refs than yell at Gary. Actually, I'd rather yell at Gary Bettman. But I think the other thing too, to wrap it up, is that this is a new rule or a new-ish concept that they're using. And I think, well, like anything that's new needs to be tested. And in the next CBA, I hope that they can work something out with it. Same with LTIR.
Yeah.
I think like that's where it kind of comes in, where it's like, okay, this is a cool new rule you guys implemented. I hate it. I love it when my team gets a goal saved when that happens, but
I guarantee the players don't like it either.
No, it slows the game down.
It's exactly. They want to play hockey.
Yeah. Edmonton, Vegas. First of all, with Edmonton, I don't know how it happened. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. And like,
don't get it.
I feel like we keep writing them off, and I don't know if I can anymore. I feel like they are just a juggernaut. Yep. I don't get it. I really don't. Stuart Skinner played great last night. I think that was kind of Vegas's last hope, was last game. And it's still very much into it. It's 3-1, it's hockey. 3-1 leads disappear, not often, but sometimes.
Yeah.
And the Knights are a great team still. I don't think Aiden Hill's playing amazing. I think that's where Vegas is probably like, well, this series is a wrap. They needed to win last night, just tie the series up. They go back home. You go back home, you can win a game. It goes to 3-2, but then you're going back to Edmonton. Place is rocking. So we're not calling it actually, we're going to call it for the Knights because maybe our jinx powers can bring them back. So we're going to call it for the Knights.
It's a weird situation when we're rooting for the Knights.
I know.
A weird playoffs.
But even then, like, I'm not going to root for the Oilers either. Like, it's a series again where it's like the Kings and Oilers where we were rooting for the Kings.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Knights, game one, I texted Zooch and I was like, go Knights go. Can't believe I'm saying that. But
yeah, maybe it's just USA bias. I'd rather a USA team win the cup.
That's my thing. Yeah.
Again, even if it's a team I hate. I hate the Edmonton Oilers too.
Yeah.
I feel pretty weird because I like Toronto as a team, but I don't want them to win because I want the cup to stay in the U.S. Because it's funny to say that Canada hasn't won a cup in 30 years.
That too, yeah. If they win this year, then what's our joke?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't lose the Four Nations and the Stanley Cup.
No.
And I know all the Stanley Cup players are Canadian, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
The fan bases.
I think like a lot of Florida is non-Canadian.
Yeah, there's like
they have a bunch of U.S. players, a bunch of Finnish.
Yeah. Barkov's what?
Russians.
Swedish?
Yeah, Barkov's Finnish.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Either way.
Gustav Forsling.
The greatest player in the NHL.
Greatest defenseman in the NHL.
And dude, he's nasty.
Yeah. Anyways. Him and Slavin are the greatest defensemen. Anyways. Speaking of Slavin, the Carolina Hurricanes are looking gross. They are
molly-whopping the Caps.
3-1 up on the Caps. And like, we were talking in a hockey group chat, and people were like, Carolina looks scary. And they do.
Yeah.
I just don't think they've been tested.
No.
You played the Devils, who were all hurt.
Again.
You played the Caps, who, frankly, I just don't think they played Montreal. And like, not that they weren't the first team. I just think they were really trying to get Ovi the goal record.
Yeah.
And that's how they won all these games.
That brings you together.
Yep, brings you together.
As a team.
I think in terms of like long-term hockey and playoff hockey, it just I didn't really see them coming out
between those teams is insane too.
Yeah.
I think the biggest factor in that series, I love bringing it back to goalies. Freddie Anderson is currently letting in well less than 2 goals a game.
Yeah.
1.41 goals against average, .935 save percentage. He missed 2 games and he's tied for the most wins.
Yeah.
That team is so good through and through. That their entire roster is fantastic.
I just want to see them get tested next round.
Well, it's a good thing for Carolina. They haven't really been tested yet. They've kind of been walking through these playoffs because
good point.
They're going to be fresh come third round.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably going to win at this point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past Washington to sneak a win out, but I have a feeling that Carolina is probably going to beat them in 5.
Yeah. And if not, they're doing it in 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like coming through 2 playoff rounds, you played 10 games is a whole lot different than Toronto, which at minimum is playing 12 or 13.
If you're better. We just said that the Hurricanes are winning this series, so go put money on the Caps right now.
Yeah.
Put money on them. They're coming back.
We're going to start making all of our calls when the one team has a very big lead in the series.
Yes.
Edmonton, dial it in.
Yep. We're gonna jinx. We're doing some reverse magic here, where the Oilers are the greatest team in the NHL.
Oh, they're so good.
They're so good.
Stuart Skinner,
amazing.
Oh my goodness.
The Leafs are gonna close it out next game. They're actually gonna win the series next game
in 3. We want Florida.
Yeah, they're gonna win. No, we're gonna jinx every single team. But
I just think it's interesting that Carolina could make it to the Cup final without really playing a legitimate threat. Yeah. If Toronto does win this series, because I'm still not sold on Toronto.
I'm kind of sold.
I'm not.
I just think they're playing the Panthers. Like, that's a tough matchup.
They're playing the Cats. That's a playoff team.
Right.
Ottawa's not a playoff team. They made the playoffs, but they're not a playoff team.
No, you're right. Yeah.
You know? And they went to 6 games against Ottawa. That's brutal. You should have swept that series.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's like, it's real interesting. But, Carolina, I think they have a very easy path to the Cup.
Yeah, they do.
And
next round's going to be the hardest for them.
Yeah.
But in the way, like, these first 2 rounds for them have been super easy, and I think these next 2 rounds, but like you said, it's probably a good thing for them.
They're fresh.
They're going to be fresh. They're not going to be like, I think Florida and Toronto are going to be beat up. Whoever wins that series.
They will.
Especially if it's the Maple Leafs, you will be beat up.
Yeah.
But yeah, another one, Mikko Rantanen.
Oh my gosh.
What the hell? What is he doing? That man, what's his stat line now? Because I remember a couple of days ago, it was like 14 points in 4 games, which I'm sure in 6 games, it's like 20 points.
So he's got 18 points through 10 playoff games. I think they've played.
Yep.
Yeah, 10 playoff games. He's got 18 points. He had 1 point in the first 4 games against Colorado. So he's got 17 points in the last 6 games, which is just nuts. That's as many points as Connor McDavid has this entire playoffs.
Jesus.
Side note, and he's played 10 games. It's nuts what he's doing right now. That guy he's on a rampage. He's just been insane. The Moose is loose.
Yes.
The Moose is loose right now. What he's doing is fantastic. I mean, they're playing the Jets.
Yeah.
But he also did it against the Avalanche in the last couple of games of the series.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he turned it on, and it's like, okay, yeah.
So my thought, right? You play the Avs, and then you play the Jets. And both of those teams have outstanding goaltending, right?
Yes.
Hellebuck comes a little soft in the playoffs. That sounded a little weird. But team defense is fantastic, and he's ripping them up.
Yeah.
He has, oh gosh, I need to look at the stats. He's got like 8 points in the first 3 games against them.
Yeah.
There's 6 points in the first 3 games against them. And one of those games he was shut out.
Yeah.
So he's got 6 points in 2 games playing the Jets.
2 hat tricks.
2 hat tricks in the last 4 games played. It's nuts.
Yeah.
There was a stat, I was watching his second hat trick, the game 1 against the Jets. There was a stat that he had 2 hat tricks in his last 3 periods of hockky, which is just hilarious.
Because he scored a hat trick in
the second period of game 1, and then scored a hat trick in the 3rd period of game 7.
Jesus.
Either way, I wonder how that is going to transfer against seems like Edmonton now.
Yeah.
When you're playing a team with, frankly, weak team defense and a very weak goaltender, and you have Mikko Rantanen, who is on an absolute tear. He's the scariest guy in the NHL right now, which is crazy because Connor McDavid is still playing.
And he's
playing well, too.
Yeah, he's playing well. Yeah, I think Mikko, moral of the story is pay the dogs.
Yeah. Pay the dogs.
Like, I don't really remember the whole transpiring with Colorado, but I want to say it was because they didn't want to pay him, or I don't think they wanted to pay him.
I think what I saw, I was watching a podcast about this. I don't know how true this is. I did not fact check it. Mikko wanted to stay.
Yes.
His agent was driving a very hard bargain, which clearly that hard bargain was for a reason.
Yes.
Right? He's one of the best players in the NHL, and we've been saying this for a long time.
Yeah.
And I forget who I was having a conversation with. I think it was AJ. But he's like 4th or 5th in points over the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like this is, a good second liner or like a first liner who's really just he's playing with Nathan McKinnon, right? So obviously that's going to inflate your stats a little bit if you go to a team where you're playing with, Wyatt Johnston, who's 21. Right. But at the end of the day, he's still 4th or 5th in points. I think he's 4th in points over the last 5 seasons.
Also, Heiskanen's coming back tonight.
Yep. That is a scary situation for any team that has to play Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, you got to pay the guy.
Yeah.
I don't care what it takes. I'd honestly say you'd rather keep around Mikko. This might be a crazy statement, but you'd rather keep around Mikko Rantanen than Cale Makar. And I know that's a crazy statement.
Yeah.
But guess whose team is still in the playoffs and guess whose team isn't?
Yeah, but the Stars have...
The Avs are also super deep.
Yeah.
They had an all-star on their 3rd line.
Right, but I think...
Brock Nelson was on their 3rd line.
Like,
He's
I think
the greatest all-star ever.
Though, like, Ottinger's way better than Blackwood.
He is, but it's not like he's that much better. Again, this skill gap is this.
I know.
It's not like, you think about it where it's like,
yeah,
if you look at, your average midget AA team, right?
Yeah.
The best goalie is going to be a whole lot better than the second best goalie.
Yeah. I think it's an incredibly tough situation that the Avalanche were in. And it's like we said, you drafted amazing Colorado. Good job.
Look at Edmonton and how they're dealing with paying a bunch of players, right? Or they're paying a couple players a whole bunch of money. That's what I should have said.
2 forwards.
Toronto's been doing it for the last 10 years, right? Whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Since they signed all 4 of those guys, or all 3 of those guys to $10 million contracts, right?
Yeah.
And whether or not their team success has been there, they've been in the playoffs year in, year out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's kind of what you want. Yes, you want to go deep. You want to win a cup. That's what the NHL plays for.
Yeah. It's a hard thing to do,
But you can't win the cup if you miss the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And you let guys walk like this. This is one of the best players in the NHL.
Yeah.
This is like if the Edmonton Oilers let Leon Draisaitl go for, yes, you're getting good players back, but you're letting Leon Draisaitl go because of money.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to pay him. Keep him around.
The cap going up. And like, I mean, I think players too, I mean, it's tough because I think the players need to push back and being like, no, I want 13 mil.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to get the cap raised. If they keep taking team-friendly deals, then the teams don't have any reason to raise the salary cap.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, oh, well, we're fine. Like, we just want a cup off no one making more than $10 million a year. So if these players keep, getting more, and have always been players get paid.
Yeah.
I think the owners make a shit ton of money. And I would rather my money go when I purchase a ticket to a game. I'd rather that money go to a player.
To the guy I pay to watch. I'm not paying to watch the owner.
Yes.
Or the general manager.
Right. And like obviously those guys need to get paid, but like at the end of the day, like I'm always, and like that's why people are like, God, NBA players make so much, it's ridiculous. It's like, well, guess what? That's what people pay to watch.
Yeah.
I'd rather it go to them because it's going to go to the owners if it doesn't go to them.
Exactly.
And it's not like hockey brings in a whole lot of money, but
my Cale Makar statement is not because I don't want Cale Makar, don't think that they should do whatever it takes to keep him there.
Yeah.
But you got to do whatever it takes to keep Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Martin Necas is a great player.
Yeah.
He's not Mikko Rantanen.
No.
He's going to be a great secondary piece and going to be a great winger for Nathan McKinnon.
They got boned on that, yeah.
I'm sure he'll put up a ton of points in his career with the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah. He's not Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah. He's a good piece. He's a good piece to have, but he's not a good piece to have in a trade for Mikko Rantanen.
No. Nobody is, frankly. Realistically, there's probably 5 guys you want in a trade with Mikko Rantanen.
And 2 of those guys are on the Avalanche.
Are on your fucking team. Like, there's not a lot of.
Yeah.
You want Leon Draisaitl.
Yep.
You want Connor McDavid. I don't even think you want Nikita Kucherov because he's older.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Or you're taking Nathan McKinnon or Cale Makar. Those are the guys you should be getting back in a Rantanen trade. Obviously, trades are never really like that. They're never really one for one.
Even, yeah.
But like, you just don't get rid of them.
Yeah.
You don't get rid of them at all.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to see Carolina and Dallas match up in the finals, because then you have Logan Stankoven playing his former team. You have Mikko Rantanen playing his team he played for, for 5 minutes, flash in the pan.
That's crazy too, because it's like, dude, do you guys? I mean, they didn't have any protection to keep him out of the West, which I don't even know if they could.
They still got Stankoven back, which is fantastic.
Who?
The Hurricanes. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm talking about the Avalanche. Like, they traded him to the Eastern Conference to be like, if we see him in the finals, we see him in the finals.
Yeah.
And then Carolina goes and trades him to a division rival that they have to play in the first round. And it was already solidified at that point, most likely, that Winnipeg's the best team in the Central. They're going to win that. And like, now it's you two. So
division rival that, I mean, both of these teams are going to be good years to come.
Right.
This is probably not the first time or not the last time that they will play each other in the playoffs.
Nope.
While Mikko Rantanen is on that team.
Yeah.
So it'll be real interesting.
Yeah.
I just think why did you get rid of him?
Yeah.
And he's ripping it up now.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
Yep.
If he were, doing okay, 10 points through 10 games, it's like we can sacrifice that, right?
Yeah.
Martin Necas will do that at some point in his career.
True.
If he's not already. I don't know what he did in the playoffs, but
yeah.
It's just the fact that he has more points in this playoffs than Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yep.
And he's done it in the last 6 games.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. No, it is. But
he's on a tear.
Yeah, Mikko will be fun to watch.
Got to keep the dogs.
We'll see. Check if we jinxed him. If we jinxed him,
that'd be hilarious. Watch him go on a horrendous run.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the game last night, go check how many points he had last night, because he very well could have 0.
Yeah,
with like a -2. But
watch him put up like 5 points.
Yeah, probably.
Did you ever see those old advertisements? I forget who did it, but it was the Ovech trick where he scored 9 goals in a game. No. It was some stupid NHL advertisement for like the early 2010s. It was the Ovech trick, and he scored 9 goals in a game. Watch him do that.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
That would But, all right, we're going to wrap it up. We talked a lot about the prospects, which I thought was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
It's about the NCAA drafts coming up too. Obviously, kind of tough to talk about the playoffs right now with the way the series are. We don't know what's going to happen. But next week, I'm sure we'll see probably most of these series wrapped up.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that and what's going to hold for the third round.
What teams we can jinx for the third round.
Do you have a game for me?
I do have a game for you. This is going to be very quick. Okay. It's just a question.
And then we are wrapping up.
Let me pull this up. Okay. So this is an or question. You're gonna be given 2 options, and you have to pick what option you're gonna take. So you get $1 million immediately, tax free, just $1 million put into your bank account for doing nothing.
Okay.
Or you can take the option to get $1 billion, again tax free, just shows up in your bank account. But you have to score in an NHL regular season, 82 games. There are some rules for this. So, A, you cannot be cut from the NHL roster. So you're going to play 82 NHL games.
Oh, okay.
You cannot be cut.
I thought you were saying okay, I got it.
You are not going to get injured throughout the season. It's no massive injury that's going to keep you out for the whole season. So you are going to play 82 games. You are minimum getting third line minutes, maybe second power play opportunity, and that can go up depending on your play. If you play well, the NHL team can move you up the lineup. Empty net goals do not count.
Damn it.
Goals on an e-bug do not count. You are on an average team. You're not the San Jose Sharks, but you're not the Winnipeg Jets. Okay. Right? You're just league average team, might sneak into a playoff spot, not going to go anywhere in the playoffs if you make it there. And you cannot have another job while doing this challenge. So you're basically your living expenses and everything are compensated throughout the year.
Okay.
Right. But the team's going to bill you at the end of that. Oh. So if you don't score a goal, you owe whatever you pay. You owe whatever you have, and you don't have a job to pay it. Right.
Yep.
Yes. Are you going to try and score an NHL goal for $1 billion, or are you going to take the $1 million?
I feel like this is the easiest question in my life because, A, I get to play 82 games in the NHL. Now, am I going to keep up with everyone? Fuck no. But yes, I'm doing that because you get to play 82 games, and I'll open up credit cards if I have to pay back whatever I have to pay back.
Go into credit card debt.
Dude, to play a year in the NHL, they call me up right now. Let's say, I don't want to go to Canada. Let's say, I don't want to play in New York.
It doesn't have to be current bad teams. It could just be whatever. It could be the San Jose Sharks if they're mediocre. They're just not going to be you're not going to be playing with the Chicago Blackhawks where Pat Maroon is the number 1 left wing.
Okay, yeah.
But you're not going to be playing with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I'll go to Boston. Let's say the Bruins called me up, just for example. Like, hey, man, saw your thing on the podcast.
Saw your men's league highlights.
Yeah. I saw the clip on your podcast about how you wanted to, get paid $1 billion, get to play 82 games, and all you do is got to score a goal, all that jazz that you gave me. I'd say yes. Mm-hmm. $1 million would be nice, but in this economy, what does that really get you?
Yeah.
Maybe a house in a nice area, or not a nice area, but a house here in Idaho. But $1 million doesn't get you a whole lot. And even the $1 billion outside of that, the experience of playing 82 NHL games with a team, they might hate my ass and not want to talk to me because they're like, why did we sign up for this guy with 82 games and he has to play on the third line? But I think they'd get to know me and they'd come around to have fun with me. And yeah, just playing 82 games in the NHL.
So what if I add a caveat, right?
Okay.
The fans of this team do not know that you're just a random guy.
Okay.
They think that their team just signed this random player.
Okay.
Right? And it's you.
Okay.
So if they don't like what you're doing, you're still going to play, but you're going to get booed all game.
Yeah, and I said Boston.
Oh, dude, it'd be brutal. They're ruthless.
I wouldn't be able to leave the house. Shit. Yeah,
the house you have to put on a credit card.
True. I'm living like a... See, like the thing is, I don't think I could score a goal. 82 games. Well, we played, 13 beer league games?
Even if you're on like the power play. Because you can play on the power play. That's not out of the question. So say teams score shorthanded all the time, right?
Right.
So here's my thought. Teams score shorthanded all the time, 5-on-4, right? Even if you just sit at the blue line, wait for your team to get the puck, right? And then just go skate and get in front of the net and try and tip one in.
Right.
That counts.
Okay.
It just can't be on an e-bug or an empty net.
Okay.
I think you could do it. I think you'd get the $1 billion.
That's the thing. Like, if it was any other sport, I'd say...
You can't get cut. You can do whatever you want.
I know.
You're getting at least third line minutes. It's like 15 minutes a night.
True. I could just take... Well, I'm not going to get around anyone. I was going to say I could just skate with the puck the whole time, but...
You might get around Corey Perry.
And I'm going to get hit, too. It's contact.
Yes, you will.
Oh, shit.
You can't get injured, but you will get absolutely drilled.
Right. Okay. I can't get injured, so I'm pretty much invincible.
You are invincible. I think it's a good option.
Yeah. No doubt taking that just for the experience of playing a full season in the NHL with where I'm at. No matter what, if I have to pay it back, whatever, I'll go into debt for that. Like, that'd be awesome. But the question of will I score 82 games, even if we're playing the Sharks, like I'm like, I just don't see myself.
And you have to score on an NHL goalie. That's the hard.
Right.
Just an e-bug or an empty net. Absolutely.
You played how many beer league games? I had one goal. Granted, I was playing defense.
Yeah.
But it was also against a drunk goalie.
I don't know if he was drunk that game.
No, I don't think he was. Which is impressive.
An alcoholic goalie.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm doing it. I don't know if I'm going to score. I don't. That's 82 fair. Games. You said empty nets don't count, though.
Empty nets don't count.
Damn. If empty nets counted, for sure. Because then all the boys would be like, dude.
Yeah, feed him.
Yeah, they'd be like, feed him.
Feed him. I'll get off your team after I get this $1 billion.
Yeah. If I score game 1, can I keep playing?
Yeah.
Why not? I scored.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scored in the NHL.
You can if you want to.
Okay. Definitely.
You get third line minutes. Yeah, you're invincible. Third line minutes.
Oh, yeah.
You just have fun being with the boys.
And start fighting people, too. I'm not going to get hurt off of
Think about it. You could be the guy who just goes for bench minors for penalties.
True. I'm not going to score.
After you score a goal.
True.
You could just be like the most for the boys guy ever.
Honestly, a healthy scratch, I'd love to be, after I score, if I'm just a healthy scratch hanging out, the vibe
cool
guy,
I'd hang around.
Add a great lineup. So if there's any NHL teams watching this clip,
and
you want to take a chance and give me $1 billion to score a goal in the NHL, hit me up.
Here's a cool like pro caveat, right? It's a pro to this. You go to practices and stuff.
Yeah.
So you get to practice with NHL players.
True.
Throughout the course of a year, you could get a lot better.
True.
And then it could be like a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Your hidden potential and talent. You're going to get in shape.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be going to workouts.
Yeah.
Get the NHL
we'll have
meals.
the off season. Like, this is all next season. So again, if any team wants to. Yeah.
I think what I'd do, because I'm not scoring a goal in the NHL, right? There's zero opportunity for that to happen. I suck at hockey, especially being a forward or a defenseman or anything that involves not being a goalie. So I think what I'd do, I'm taking the $1 million. I'm dumping it all into training, right? Because you can take off. I could probably live for 5 to 10 years off of $1 million.
Yeah, tax free too.
Completely tax free. Think about how much training you can put in like a 3-year span with $1 million. You could pay the best goalie coach in the world, right? Or I could.
True.
And then I could try and go play pro hockey somewhere else if I get
maybe
good
not
enough.
the NHL, but
Maybe
like
not
you
the
could play
NHL, but I can
anywhere.
play pro hockey, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Could happen. Probably not. I mean, I suck, but
If anyone wants to sponsor him,
if anyone wants to sponsor with $1 million,
see if this is true.
all of my proceeds for the Italy 2 league will go to you.
Yes. Yeah. Could see him in Italy next year for the Olympics. We don't know. But yeah, I'm taking that. But I don't think I'm scoring.
No. No, neither am I.
Yeah. Well, all right, everyone. That was a fun game. I like that. Because we used to do a lot of those in college, in high school together. We would do a lot of.
That's just bullshit.
Would you rather
hanging out? Would you rather
this
questions.
or like the Ray Lewis one? Like that one, we'll have a conversation maybe in the off season.
You want to stick around and tell the story real quick? You can post it whenever you want.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Okay. So you probably know better.
So here's the question. You get
Sit up more.
Yeah. Here's the question. Just hanging out, chilling. Here's the question. You get $1 million deposited in your bank account tax-free. But once a month for the rest of your life, Ray Lewis spawns in and tries to hit you full force, right? He tries to come after you. Now, this is prime Ray Lewis. Prime Ray Lewis killed the guy, right?
Yeah.
With a hit. Mm-hmm. So he could kill you. You don't know when it's going to happen. He spawns in about a mile away from you. So then he tracks you down. He knows where you are at all times. Okay. And you have to live for 24 hours without Ray Lewis hitting you once a month. Are you taking it?
$1 million? Can we got to up the price? Because
I always said
2016.
No. This is 2016, $1 million. I always said no, and Spencer kept upping the value, right? Yes. And then at some point, I forget what I said, but at some point it became a yes. So say it's $10 million.
That's
retirement money.
Yeah, but that's not life changing to get hit by Ray Lewis every year of my life.
Yeah.
I would say you give me $100 million.
That's 40 years making $200,000 a year.
Fair.
That's here in Idaho. That's enough money. That's basically you could live off $50,000 a year.
My medical insurance is going to be through the roof.
That's true. Well, they don't know medical insurance. So here's the other thing. Nobody else sees Ray Lewis.
Right.
That is a caveat to this. So you could just start sprinting and nobody will understand why, but Ray Lewis could be right behind you. Okay. Right? Uh-huh. And he's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Not kill you, but he's trying to just boom.
Yep.
And so the other thing about this question, I didn't ask this very well. Once Ray Lewis hits you, he just evaporates into thin air, right? All he wants to do is hit you one time. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to like murder you. It's not like O.J. Simpson. Now we can't post this shit.
No, it's fine. He's dead. He's dead.
I guess that's fair. Yeah. So once he hits you, you're done for the month. Okay. Or after those 24 hours, you're done.
Yes.
And then it can happen at any point in the month. So if you have a really bad couple of days, right, it could happen on the 31st and then the 1st.
Right.
But then you have a whole month that you know he's not going to hit you. But if he does it on the 31st, you can't really plan anything.
Right.
Because it's just going to be Ray Lewis at some point.
And I remember he could do it on the 31st. Mm-hmm. He could do it at 11:59 on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
And then right when the ball drops and you're still struggling to get up, is it 24 hours or can he then?
No, he can do it immediately. He can do it at 12. So you can do it at 11:59 and then 12. The thing is, when Ray Lewis spawns in, he evaporates. Or he evaporates, first of all, after he hits you. Right. He just goes away.
Right.
And then when he spawns in a mile away from you. So you at least have a mile to recover.
Okay.
You have a mile of time of Ray Lewis trying to find you to recover from that hit. Right? He just spawns in at 12.
Okay.
He can't hit you at 11:59 and then 12.
Yeah.
On the month end, month beginning. Okay.
And from my understanding too, he also comes at the worst possible moment of your life.
Well, he can.
Like he comes in at the worst possible times.
Like
usually.
You could be taking a dump.
Right. Or getting married.
You could be getting married. You could be.
And no one sees him.
Nobody sees him but you. So if you just sprint off the altar,
and what else does he do?
Really weird.
When he after he tackles you, what does he do?
He does the Ray Lewis dance. I can't do it.
He gets up and he does the every time, which is the scariest part.
Dumbest question ever.
Okay,
I think I said yes when Spencer said once a year.
Yeah,
because I could deal with it once a year, right?
Yes.
You can rent a compound and just live underground,
right?
And that's the other thing. Ray Lewis is not a ghost. He can't phase through doors.
Right.
He has to try it. Like if you lock yourself in a room,
he will try to break.
He will try to break it down, but he can't like phase through it.
Okay.
So if you have an underground bunker with a gigantic steel vault door, he can't get in. You just have to wait 24 hours.
For $100 million for the rest of my life. Actually, well, we could do a salary too. What if you get paid $1 million a year?
Yeah, I'd probably do that.
$1 million a year.
12 days a year you have to worry about.
Once a month?
Well,
I like once a year because that keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
And you're all like once a month you're a little bit too much on your toes.
Yeah.
But once a year you're never expecting it because you're like, I don't know when it could happen. Like a year is a long time.
Yeah.
Once a year I get paid $1 million a year to take a hit from Ray Lewis, prime Ray Lewis. And he does the dance on me.
I wonder if
no one can see me. Or no one can see him.
I forget if there was a caveat that you couldn't tell your spouse or you couldn't tell anybody. I don't think there was a caveat. So you could tell all your friends, hey, you won't see this, but once a year Ray Lewis comes after me. And I have to hide for 24 hours. So if I ever have to go into hiding or if I ever we're hanging out and I just sprint away.
Yeah.
Or if I hop in my car and just start driving.
Yeah.
And I don't answer or you don't see me for 24 hours, that's why.
Yeah.
I think if there was a caveat, as long as I can tell the people in my life about this and they don't think I'm an absolute psychopath or just psychotic, I think I'd do it.
Yeah.
I think the tough part really would be, though, what if you're on vacation with your family and kids, right?
You just see you get...
Say you're in Greece or somewhere, you're in Mykonos, and Ray Lewis just spawns in an hour away on the other side of the island, right? And he's going to hunt you down and find you, and you have to go start running for 24 hours. That would really suck.
You also can't shoot him, I know that.
No, you can't shoot him, because that was always I'd just shoot him, right? And Spencer said, no, you cannot shoot him.
Yes.
Like a ghost, bullets phase through
he's he's invincible in that aspect. You can't hurt him. But you can't... Oh, I remember.
If you hit him back, it goes away.
No. If you are able to, juke him...
Oh, yeah. If you juke him.
Yeah, if you are able to,
he only gets one opportunity.
Yeah, one opportunity. If you can juke him, then he'll just be and disappear. And then come back.
I think what you do, realistically, right, is you go to whoever the best quarterback trainer is in the world for, not for a Tom Brady type quarterback, but for a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson, someone who's getting out of the pocket a whole lot.
Yes.
You go to whoever trains them and say, I need you to make me the best quarterback at running the football ever.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have a lot of fucking money. If you have $1 million a year, you pay him $500,000 and say, hey, make me as good as I can be.
True.
Right?
You can train.
And you get really good at juking. That's a good option.
I agree.
Because that sticks with you. But the problem is when you're 80, because this happens until the day you die.
True.
This is what we talked about. The chances of you dying, because you can die in this challenge from getting hit by Ray Lewis, since Ray Lewis has killed people. The chance of you dying from getting hit by Ray Lewis goes up the older you get.
Right.
So at some point, you basically just have to build a bunker and live in it whenever Ray Lewis
with the money you save per year.
Exactly. Okay. I think that was basically
It'd be a fun life. I mean, by the time, because you figure right now, it'd take years off your life though.
Yeah.
Because I could juke him. I couldn't juke him. I could train to juke him. Train myself to be good on my
work
feet.
For your 30s and 40s probably.
Right. Even then, 40s, then it's I'm already going to take a couple sacks here and there.
Yeah.
And especially if I'm not expecting it, and he blindsides me. We don't have an offensive guard.
You could buy a whole lot of bubble wrap for $1 million. Just wear bubble wrap.
Or the hamster, those the inflatable bubbles.
You could probably put those on pretty quick, right? Because if he spawns a mile away from you. Blow it up.
Yeah. Well, you don't know when he spawns in though, right?
That's true.
So you don't know until it's too late.
That is true.
So
you basically
I'm taking it though. It's $1 million a year and you don't have to work. Your only job is to stop Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
That is your only job. You're getting paid $1 million a year. And you only have to do it once a year.
I think this worked better when we were 16.
I agree.
Because we had more time in which we could juke, right? Because once you hit, I'd say late 30s, maybe early 40s if you're really athletic, that's kind of when your athleticism starts to go down a hill.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're 16, you got 30 years where you're like, 25, 30 years where you're like, I could juke Ray Lewis.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're 25, you're like, I got 10 years. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe 20 if I'm lucky.
True.
Then the body starts catching up to you. I've had a nagging wrist injury for the last month and a half from just playing hockey.
Yeah.
I went to pass a
My
puck.
back still hurts from falling down those stairs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like, I'm starting
I can't imagine if those stairs did to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still taking it because then it'd be kind of a fun career path.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
I just build a bunker.
Yeah. Because then you're just trying to outsmart Ray Lewis.
Stay semi-near. The other thing is I can drive for long periods of time.
True.
You can buy a really fast car.
Yeah.
And I think the other caveat to this was Ray Lewis could not drive, right? He basically had to run to you.
Okay.
So if I got in a car...
Let's be van life guys.
Exactly. If I got in a car and drove, I could probably drive for 10 hours straight, right? Or 12 hours straight.
Right.
If I drove 12 hours away and Ray Lewis just had to run for however many miles I covered in 12 hours, that's like 700 miles. He's not getting there in 24 hours.
Yeah.
The thing is you have to be near a car. So you have to basically always be near your car.
Yeah.
Or always be near your bunker, which I think is the tricky bit.
Yeah.
Because if I'm on a beach in Turks and Caicos,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm probably not near my car.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I wonder if Ray Lewis could swim.
Anyways.
That was not a race joke. That was not a race joke.
We want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? We're going to leave this in the episode.
We're leaving it in?
Yeah. Because that's a great, this is the hockey podcast you guys signed up for.
We're very serious.
Yes. Very. But yeah, if you guys think either of those questions, the first one more specifically to hockey, but this last one is a big one, and we might have more conversations in the future about it. But yeah, I like that game.
We had a ton of those questions. I got to call Spencer and just have him give me some questions.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we can add one into all the podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a bunch of stupid ones. Some of them we can't say on the podcast.
That's fair. And I think some of these are just what he's lived through. It's an inside joke. If you don't get it, sorry. But everyone,
hilarious.
Thank you for listening. We've got some, playoffs heating up. And next week, I think we'll be able to talk about the third round.
Yep.
And everything. These mid-series podcasts are a little tougher just because it's like we're kind of basing off of a couple games.
Yep.
And, all these 3-1 series could be nothing and be game 7.
Yeah.
So who knows? But thank you for listening. If they
do become 3-1 series, I almost think that's advantage to whatever team was down.
Yeah.
Because then you got all the momentum, baby. You got nothing to lose, backs against the wall. If you're already down 3-1.
Exactly.
A whole lot better being down 3 or tied 3-3. So I don't know.
But
I think it is. Better to be tied 3-3 than down 3-1, right? If you can claw your way back from 3-1 down.
Oh, right.
That's a whole lot better situation. You already had your backs up against the wall. You got nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
You're playing extra hockey. You're playing bonus hockey.
Yeah,
at that point.
you are at that point. Yeah.
The house is money.
Yep. House is money. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week and go watch some hockey.
Peace.